Welcome to the weekly live show. Today, I want to dive into something that I see impacting so many people, and that is anxiety. All right. So, when people are really stepping into their personal leadership or really up leveling their performance levels, anxiety can become something that inhibits us in ways that we can't even imagine until it happens. Um, and I want to dive into some of that today because I see so many people being impacted by this. I am Angela W. Stillwell, the CEO and founder of Untapped Strengths, and I work with individuals to transform them into top 1% leaders and teams into powerhouses. And you guys, let me tell you something. This thing about anxiety is crazy how it is spreading like wildfire. In 2019, there was a study that showed in the US, not even talking about the rest of the world, and this is a worldwide issue right now, but in the US in 2019, 2 out of 3 people reported having high levels of anxiety. That's a lot of people. That's 66% of the population reported having high levels of anxiety. And now, since the world shut down and the pandemic happened, and all of the things that have happened as a result of that, the economy going sideways, all of those things, the percentage has gone up, the number of people who are being impacted by anxiety. So I want to dive into what that looks like and some of the things that you can do. In fact, there's another statistic around kids in high school. 91% of high schoolers, I believe this was a year ago, reported having extreme levels of anxiety. Now, I get it. Teenagers have anxiety, and that's just kind of how life is. However, 91% extreme levels of anxiety. And we know that the rest of the population has more anxiety than they've ever had before. So, Dr. Caroline Leaf has done a lot of study in this arena. And if you don't know who she is, she's written books and she's like a specialist in the neuroscience area. In fact, she has so many titles. I wouldn't even read most of them because it would be like, what does that even mean? So just know that she is an expert in this area. And she has some things that she recommends people do, and things that even have shown up on brain scans that help with this. But before we get into that, I want to dive into why this issue of anxiety. Why this issue of anxiety? And what we find is that when people are experiencing anxiety, and let me tell you something, I never had or didn't believe that I had anxiety, even despite the childhood that I had growing up in an environment that was incredibly dysfunctional and all of the things, right? My mom being killed and having a dad that was, on the go. We'll just leave it at that. Um, and a stepfather that was abusive, and I didn't think that I had anxiety. In fact, about 7 years ago, I was at a doctor's appointment and they were checking on some things for me, and my doctor said, "Do you have anxiety?" And I was like, No, absolutely not. Never had anxiety, never had an issue with it." And she said, "Okay." And so, like, every year I'd go in for my checkup and she would ask me again, "Do you have anxiety?" And I was like, "No, don't have anxiety. Never have had anxiety. I don't know what you're talking about." And the reason that I didn't think I had anxiety was because it was my normal. It was my norm to just stuff it, to be the go-to person, to be the person that was always, large and in charge and always had everything together, and to present this perfect picture to the outside world. Well, I found out later on that I actually did have some anxiety, and I was able to do work around it and figure out what was causing it. And there's a lot of things that impact the levels of anxiety in our lives. And as leaders, we get to really lean into this and find out how anxiety might be impacting us. Okay. So, the stories that we have, the beliefs that we have, the meaning that we give to things add to our levels of anxiety. Think about during the pandemic when they're constantly, and today, mainstream media is constantly shooting out stories of fear, things to be afraid of. In fact, they're doing it again. Coronavirus is coming out again. Put on your mask, do this, do that. You guys, that induces fear when we listen to that. So when you are remaining in this place of fear over and over and over again, and you keep telling yourself that there is a lot to be afraid of, subconsciously you're saying this to yourself, because remember, our brain's number one purpose is to keep us safe. So if our brain is supposed to be keeping us safe, guess what? It's living in a constant state of anxiety because it's always worried about what might be happening. So we get to really pay attention to what is it that our brain is saying and start rewriting those neural pathways that have all of these stories and meanings and beliefs written on them so that we can shift this anxiety, because this anxiety is impacting everything in our lives. I started noticing it in my life when I would get these feelings in my belly, and I would just I would lay in bed and I was like, what is going on? I couldn't sleep. And I would have people talk about butterflies in your belly. I would have these, but these I think were, what are the pterodactyls, the flying dinosaurs, right? So mine felt like pterodactyls. And I could not understand what was going on. And so I had to really recenter myself and listen in on, okay, what am I anxious about? What am I saying over and over and over in my own head that is stirring this up? Now, look, sometimes there's a chemical imbalance, and our adrenaline gets going, and cortisol gets going, and if you don't have the proper response to reduce the amount of adrenaline and have dopamine and the other things to calm it down, to get you back into a centered place, then yes, you're going to have those things. But one of the things that Dr. Caroline Leaf showed is that, and there have been other studies that have shown this as well, where meditation or prayer for 12 minutes a day for about 3 months, meditation or prayer for 12 minutes a day for 3 months, literally does enough shifting in the brain that it shows on a brain scan. That's powerful. So this work that I'm talking about and doing with my clients, where we're rewriting these neural pathways and we're taking the time to understand what those stories are that are impacting 80 to 90+% excuse me, of every decision that you make, every action you take, and every result that you get. When you're able to rewrite those stories, meanings, and beliefs, you also impact the anxiety that is keeping you from stepping out to being the leader that you know you're capable of being. And so again, the thing the study that she showed was that 3 months of about 12 minutes a day of prayer or meditation, whatever works for you, actually does enough. And listen, this prayer or meditation is in releasing anxiety. It's in being in gratitude. It's in, really paying attention to what the thoughts are, shifting those thoughts. I do something called brain priming with my clients. So really doing these things to shift the thoughts for 12 minutes a day for 3 months does enough to change your brain that it shows up on an actual brain scan. That's powerful. That's powerful. Then the other thing that you can do is to pause, right? Like when you're feeling this coming up, or you sense it, or you're experiencing it, pause. Like, stop. Take a moment. Take inventory. What's happening here? Do a check-in with your body. Do a check-in with your mind. Just pause. So the prayer meditation is the first thing. Pausing is the second thing. Take a moment and pause. Most of us, if you're like me, want to immediately dive in and start doing whatever it takes to get it done, right? It's like, let me just push through and get all of this done and it'll be fine. However, if you can take that moment and pause and really listen to what's coming up, really listen to your body. Do a check-in with your body. What are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? How are you feeling? What's coming up for you, right? When you can do that, that helps you reinforce what you did during the meditation and the prayer. And then the third thing is step into gratitude. What do you get to be grateful for around you? I mean, like, by the time you get out of bed in the morning, you already have so many things to be grateful for. Did your eyes open? Could you see the things around you? Were you taking another breath? The fact that you woke up, right? You have vision, you have breathing, you can hear the sounds around you, right? You get out of bed, I have movement, my legs work, or whatever it looks like for you, right? There's so much to already be grateful for. Take time to be in that place of gratitude, and not just gratitude for whatever is huge or major accomplishments. Be in gratitude for the smallest of things. Start noticing the smallest of things around you and be in gratitude for those. Okay. So prayer, meditation, pausing, and being in gratitude. Look, those are three things that are major for high achievers, for high performers, for top 1% leaders. Top 1% leaders take the time to do these three things: meditation and prayer, pause, and gratitude. So if anxiousness, if anxiety is something that you've been dealing with, do what you need to do to get a hold of it. Perhaps there's some changing your diet. Perhaps there's body movement you need to do. Perhaps there are a lot of things like that, or even a few things like that that maybe you need to do. And I want you to really pay attention to what's happening between your ears. What are you saying? What are you believing? What are you making things mean? And then go into that place of meditation and or prayer for 12 minutes. You actually can see a change in your brain activity on a brain scan for 3 months. Do this for at least 3 months. And then report back. Let me know what comes up for you. All right. That's what I had on my heart to share with you today, because this whole thing about anxiety and the percentages of people who are suffering from it is something that's really, again, I never thought that I had an issue with it until I did. And I've done a lot of work around really getting control of it. And there's that word control, right? Do we really control it? Managing it, right? Recognizing it. Doing the things that my body and mind require so that I'm not in that place of anxiousness. Okay? All right. That's it for today. You guys, thank you for joining me. Those of you who are here with me live, those of you who watch the replay, thank you. And I cannot wait to see you next Wednesday on the weekly live show. And in the meantime, look for posts and other things. And if there's any way that I can serve you, please send me a DM. And you know what? There's one thing that that you can do. there's a resource that I have that I would love for you to take advantage of, and it may help you with this anxiety thing. It's called the Warrior Wisdom Assessment, and you can find it at warriorwisdomquiz.com. That's warriorwisdomquiz.com, or you can go to my link tree that you see here on the screen, and you will find the Warrior Wisdom Quiz button right there. And I can't wait for you to take that and get the results of that. And when you do that, you have an opportunity to schedule a call with me as well. So I look forward to seeing what comes up for you with that, and go and have an amazing day. Bye.